Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Big Air 01 coming at you with another video on my son's 1995 Yamaha Pw80. As you can see from my last video, I've spruced this bike up quite a bit. I've put some new spoke skins on, some new decals. I've got the new seat all on there, new bar pad, and basically made it look a little bit nicer. I've sanded up the plastics. I think I did a pretty good job, and basically got it so that it looks, looks very good. So, but in this video, we're going to fix the carburetor from leaking. I've had a chance to ride this bike a few times. I've tried to adjust the float needle. I've tried to adjust the float itself, and the bike still leaks a little bit of gas out of the overflow through this here. And I was contemplating just fine-tuning it, but in the end I decided to go with a new carburetor because I'm going to be replacing the cable as well because the switch is broken. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to replace the switch in this and the cables and the carburetor, and at the end of the video we'll do a carb adjustment if it's required. We'll pull the plug and see how it's running. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright guys, so let's get started. We're going to need some tools. We're going to need probably some screwdrivers and some sockets. Probably a 10 mil and a 12 mil to help remove the parts off the bike. I'm not sponsored or any way in this video. I purchased all of these parts myself. I purchased it from Partzilla. I went with Yamaha OEM parts, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be very happy with that. I've had some bad experiences in the past ordering some aftermarket cables and aftermarket carbs, and they never seem to run right. So my recommendation obviously would be always to go with the OEM parts, and you probably will have better luck in fixing your gremlins that you may have on your bike. So let's start off by saying that I'll put all the links or all the part numbers in the description down below. And so we got the brand new carburetor from Yamaha. It's a Mukini carb plus the choke parts. We've got a brand new switch because this part here is broken on mine. We've got a brand new throttle cable as well, and then we've got the cable that goes from the switch to the connector underneath the tank, and then we've also got the cable that goes from the connector to the carburetor. So to start off, we need to remove the seat, there's two bolts underneath there. We need to remove the gas tank and the air filter box. So there's two bolts on each side on the frame there for the gas tank, plus a little rubber tab that holds the front of the tank or the back of the tank down. And then there's two 12 mil bolts that hold the air filter box on. So let's get started with that. Next, we're going to remove the carburetor. And it's just one bolt right here, and then it just slides right off. Going to remove the boot from the carburetor, because we're going to use that on the new one. We've got, we'll take the top of the carburetor apart. Get 2 screws on the top. Okay, so I'm gonna use all of the old tubes. I've got a new piece because I've got my oil block off kit already installed on the bike. So you have to block off your oil pump if you've already done that. If you want to see that video, check out my channel. It's on my channel. So, but for now, let's remove all of the hoses. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the sleeve. That's pretty easy. You're just gonna push it in, and then it's just gonna come out like this. So don't lose your spring. Gonna look at the needle and see what position it's in. It looks like it's about the third from, probably right in the middle, but we'll pull that apart and just take a boo and see where that's at. You've got the same thing with the choke cable. It's just a matter of pushing it in and popping it out, and then you should be able to pull out your choke cable, so that's free. Okay, so to remove the lower cable and the top cable, you're going to have to unscrew these 2 little screws. Just pops apart. And as you can see, I can get rid of the oil one because it's already been disconnected on my bike. And it's just a matter of pushing the cable up and out, just like that. Same for the cable itself. So you're going to want to use these parts again, just like that. We'll clean all that up so it's nice and clean in there when we put it back together. Let's start working at the top. So the throttle cable, or the 2 connectors that you have to disconnect, are right here for your on-off switch. Okay, so now we're going to remove the whole throttle. I forgot to mention also that I've got some new grips for this bike as well. And then you've just got 2 Phillips screws underneath. That's literally just going to pull the whole thing off of one big piece. Okay, so we've got, as you can see, I've already put my grips on using an air compressor. Best way to do it, super easy. So we're going to start by putting the throttle cable through. Just like that. And then we've got the throttle itself. Undo the screws. So it's easier to do it while it's unhooked from the bike. Something like that. Okay, so we're gonna do the top part. So you know, slide it in. Like that. It's gonna look something like that, and then you have your other cable, which it doesn't matter which end. It's hard to show you, but it's gonna look something like that. Slide over the boot, keep all the dirt out, and now it's all connected. We'll put the lip back on. And obviously, if you're also, if you have your oil pump still attached, you would hook up the other cable onto the other side of that white piece. Okay, so I took off the front fender. It's just easier to route things. Now I'm just gonna tighten down the throttle housing. And then we're gonna route the wires down through the frame. Okay, we're gonna connect the wires that we unhooked. They're just pretty easy, male to female on each one. Just like that. Okay, so I've got the spark plug out just to check to see where we're at with this. So whatever the mixture was, which I believe I've already pulled this apart here, and it's on setting number 3 on the needle jet. So we'll just leave it the same. It's probably the stock, but we'll double check it in the carburetor itself. But I mean, that spark plug looks pretty good. It looks like it's burning pretty good. So we'll leave the stock settings for now, and it should fire right up when we install it. Okay, so we're gonna start by taking the top off, just so we can get access to the needle and the slide. Okay, so I'm gonna hook up the choke cable first. So you're gonna route it through, kind of slide it on there. Then you're gonna need your spring to put over top and your choke sleeve. Gonna look like that. Then you're gonna have to take this off, maybe put it on the cable. Just keeps all the dirt out, right? Slide it up. Put it through the top and the middle one, like that, and then you have your spring, goes over top. And your slide. So it looks something like that. Look on this side here, there's a slide, there's a groove in there. When you look inside the carburetor, you're gonna see on the top side there a little kind of notch. You want to make sure that that notch is like that. Let's put the choke in, kind of like that. If you have to force it in there, you've got it in there wrong, so don't force it in. Okay, slide this back down just to cover it, and then literally just slide it back over top of the carburetor. Tighten it up, and we'll do all adjustments once I got the bike all back together. So basically, you're just gonna put it back together the same way you took it apart. Okay, so I had to take the strap off again because you remember you want to have that so it's nice and tight. You also want to make sure that when you put it back together that it's not going to bind when you turn the handlebars left and right. Okay, so before we fire it up, what I want to do is check the free play on the throttle. So as you can see, that's quite a bit of throttle there. What we'll do is you'll adjust it here, and you want about 1.5 to 3.5 millimeters of free play. So to adjust it, you're just going to screw this out. As you can see, it's getting a little tighter. And the reason why you don't want it too tight is because it can affect it on the turn. So that's probably pretty good there. We'll just check to make sure that when it's running that it doesn't pull on it. Still got free play in all the positions. Okay guys, I've got all the hoses all hooked up. I've got my vented down here. Some people routed up there. I've got my oil block off on the other side. I've already done an oil block off video on this bike, so I won't be showing you how to properly adjust your oil injection system. But in this bike, because of that, you have to make sure that you just hook it all back up the way you would normally hook it up. But in this case, I don't have it, so we're just gonna check the idle screw and the pilot screw. So the manual says that the pilot screw should be 1.5 screws out. So we're gonna basically turn it all the way in until it's just lightly seated. You don't want to push it too hard, you can damage it. So it's lightly seated. So we're gonna count out 1.5 turns. So that's a half turn, that's 1 full turn, and then another half turn. So that should be set right. And as you can see, looking at it, that's from the factory. They put a line on it basically indicating the point, and then we'll adjust the idle when it's running. So let's see if we can get it fired up. Choke out, fuel on, give it a sec, make sure the run is in the on position. Okay guys, I'm going to explain sort of what happened there. It was very hard to start because the pilot screw was in the incorrect position. The manual says it's only supposed to be in the 1.5 turns out from the bottom, but when in fact I had to actually turn the pilot screw into, so it's only 1 turn out. It was hard to start because it was running lean, and then not only that, when I don't know if you heard it, but when I would crack the throttle, it would bog out and it would basically not be running properly. So I had to richen up the fuel by turning in the pilot screw a half a turn, and then once it was hot, I basically made sure that it was idling, and I set the idle so that it just basically purred, and that's kind of what I did there. It basically fires up. I took it for a little snort. It actually seems to rev out really good, and I'm hoping that when I take it out into the bush that the carburetor isn't leaking anymore, and I fixed that problem. So Obviously in the future I'm going to be doing some more videos on mods on this bike, so I'm going to be putting in, I'm going to do the heads on it. I'm going to put an AirPod air filter on it, and all of those things will change your settings. So, you know, along with the needle jet that's or the needle that's in the top of the slide here that slides up and down, you know, obviously that also affects how much your bike is rich and lean. So, but in the future, I'm obviously going to do the voice and reeds, the head, and the air filter, and potentially the exhaust. So if you want to see those videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and get the bell notification, basically saying it'll let you know when I have post new videos on this bike. I've got lots of videos on my other bikes. I've got a CRF 70 that I'm building for my oldest son, and my WR250R and my Pw80. So be sure to check all those videos out on my channel. And if you liked what you saw and you thought this was very helpful, definitely drop a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.